From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of InFocus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. Today, we're talking about the state of gambling here in Massachusetts and the way it leaks over to the rest of the United States and possibly the world. Sitting across the desk from me from the University of Massachusetts is Dr. Rachel Volberg. She is and I will gush at you a little bit now, the preeminent brain on gambling, not only here in Massachusetts, but probably in the country. So I'm very excited to have Dr. Volberg sitting across the desk from me. When we talk gambling has been around forever. As long as humans have been around, there's been some sort of wagering and betting. But explain to me formalized, legalized gambling here in the state of Massachusetts. When did it first occur?
So gambling, as you said, has been around for a long time, eons. Most human societies have some form of gambling that they engage in, or multiple forms. In Massachusetts, the first form of legalized gambling was actually horse racing.
Okay.
Back in colonial times, they permitted betting on horse racing, although it wasn't very encouraged, but it was legal. And then in 1971 is when the Massachusetts lottery was first legalized, and that is what we count as the beginning of legalized gambling in Massachusetts.
So, and was Massachusetts the first state in the country to legalize lotteries, or no?
It was not the first, but it was close to the first.
Okay.
I want to say there was something called the Teapot Dome scandal back in the 1890s, and every state in the country shut down whatever lotteries they had.
Wow.
Everything became illegal. And in, I want to say 1969 is when quite a few states were looking at major holes in their revenue compared to their budgets. And so they were looking around for what can we legalize or what can we tax, that is not a tax on individual people. And so lotteries became one of
just a way to raise revenue.
A way to raise revenue, and they spread very rapidly. So between, I want to say 1972, so just after Massachusetts, and call it 1982, almost every state in the country legalized a lottery.
Interesting. And it's sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, a fun tax. So it's a tax on the people who want to have fun because they want to play lottery. Did I simplify it? Because it's not everybody. Like, I don't play the lottery all the time.
The initial lottery that was legalized was the large jackpot lottery.
Okay. Yeah.
Buy a ticket, on Saturday, and then you have to wait until Friday night.
Right.
Very late Friday night for the numbers to be announced, and then you look at your ticket and you find out if you won or lost. So that was the first game, was large jackpot. But lotteries and lottery people who run lotteries figured out pretty quickly that there was more revenue to be made with what are called instant tickets or scratchers.
Okay. And Massachusetts was the first state to ever issue a scratch ticket, correct?
Yeah. And actually, I was listening to a podcast quite a while ago that was about an inventor in Massachusetts who invented the paper that instant tickets could be printed on so you could scratch the surface off. And that was actually one of the reasons why Massachusetts went into instant ticket sales as early as it did, was because they knew that there was a type of paper that they could print those tickets on.
So in your studies and research, has the revenue from lotteries helped the state of Massachusetts in any way?
Oh, yes, I would say definitely.
All right.
So the state of Massachusetts, when they legalized lottery, and to this day, all of the lottery tax revenues, or all of the revenue basically beyond what they pay for administration and advertising, goes to unrestricted local aid.
Okay.
So there's 351 towns and
Mhm.
cities in Massachusetts, and there's a formula that the legislature has developed that basically dictates how much money each municipality will receive, and that's money that's not required to go to any specific purpose. So the towns are
Oh,
very, very eager to get that money because it's money that
it's
they don't
flexible
have
money.
to spend on things that the state tells them they have to spend.
It's interesting you explain it like that because I think a lot of people you see. I think annually the Mass State Lottery puts out information of how much revenue was gained,
Mm.
and everybody goes, "Well, where's that money going?" We don't see. My road's not paved, the potholes are not being fixed, but so the money is definitely being distributed to the communities.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and the communities can they can add it to their transportation budget, or they can add it to their education budget, or they can they if they have a capital project that they can't get funded through through existing mechanisms, they can use the money for that. So it's unrestricted local aid.
Right.
So that's
So it's
an
good money.
important pot of money for the
Right.
municipality.
Well, we've covered the Massachusetts State Lottery. Still to come, we've got casinos, sports betting, online gaming, and what would you call it? iGaming?
That's online gambling.
It's online. Okay. We've got plenty more to talk about. Stay with us. We're back in a moment.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back to this edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Patrick Berry. Sitting across the desk from me today in the 22 News Plus studios is Dr. Rachel Volberg from UMass. She is the preeminent brain on gambling. In the first part of our conversation, we talked about the start and growth of lottery here in Massachusetts and across the United States. When it comes to lottery spending here in Massachusetts, because we were one of the first, we started scratch tickets. Where does Massachusetts stand as far as the amount of money people spend individually on gambling, on lotteries?
Massachusetts head and shoulders above any other jurisdiction internationally.
Internationally?
Mm-hmm. In terms of per capita spending on lottery products.
Really? Do we know why?
We have some theories.
And what are those theories?
Well, one of the theories is that Massachusetts, the state lottery in Massachusetts, actually has the highest percentage of payback in terms of winning tickets.
Oh, okay.
So instead of
the highest chance of winning.
Yeah, instead of 50% money spent on the lottery that goes to the operator, in Massachusetts, somewhere between 72 and 75% goes back to players.
Oh, wow.
And so in Massachusetts, you have a much better chance of winning, even if it's a small prize, you have a much better chance of winning than in most other jurisdictions.
Not to say you will be on the plus side of gaming. It's just you have a greater chance of winning. So if I might buy a $5 scratch ticket and win $2. So that's...
And what are you going to do with those $2?
Buy a $5 scratch ticket.
Buy a $2 scratch ticket.
Exactly. So it just kind of keeps feeding itself.
Yeah, it's called the churn.
The churn. Okay. So that's lottery.
Mm-hmm.
About a decade, 15 years ago, all of a sudden casinos came to our state here in Massachusetts. I mean, we used to think of Atlantic City and Las Vegas as the two gaming capitals of the United States. And then how did American Indians become sort of the preeminent location for gambling? Because Foxwoods, then Mohegan Sun.
For casino gambling.
Or for casino gambling, right.
So that was in 1988. Ronald Reagan, as he left office, signed the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, also known as IGRA.
Okay.
So what the legislature thought that they were passing was a law that would allow tribal entities to conduct bingo games.
Okay.
but they divided it into Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3 gaming. So Class 1 gaming was traditional indigenous games. Class 2 gaming was bingo and pull tabs. Class 3 was casino games. And every state that had legalized charitable casino night then was in the position of having to negotiate, because the law required it, negotiate with any federally recognized tribe in their geographic area that to conduct Class 3 gaming. So
Okay.
that's casino games. But the casino games that the tribes would conduct would not be regulated and would also not benefit the state. All of the proceeds would go to the tribal government.
Okay. So I remember when Foxwood opened,
1992.
I was going to say somewhere right around there, exactly. And it was a bingo hall.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
A large-scale bingo
And I
hall.
think there were some slot machines in there.
Well, in 1988, they began negotiating with Governor Weicker, and he signed a very unusual compact with the
Mashantuckets? Is that who that was?
Mashantucket Pequots, which guaranteed the state 25% of the revenues that the tribe was going to collect on slot machines.
Okay.
That was very, very unusual to get a income division like that. And it had to be approved by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which took quite some time. But I believe it was in 1994 when slot machines became operational at Foxwoods.
Okay.
And then in 1997, when the Mohegans also received federal recognition and negotiated the same compact. So Connecticut is in the very unusual position of actually receiving significant revenues from the tribes from their gaming activity.
And then from there, how did Massachusetts get into the casino game?
Well, Massachusetts got into the casino game. I was sitting in my office in Northampton in 2007 and saw the headline or the news item that the Mashpee Wampanoag had received federal recognition from Indian Affairs. I thought,
here we go.
Okay, here we go. There's going to be casinos in Massachusetts. I've been living here for quite a long time. How quickly will it happen? I don't know, but it will inevitably.
And what year was that?
That was 2007.
2007.
And sure enough, in
less than 20 years ago.
Yeah, in 2008, DeVal Patrick, our governor at that time, proposed commercial casino.
Okay.
Because everyone knew as soon as the Mashpee Wampanoag, as soon as the tribe received federal recognition, they were going to start trying to get Class 3 gaming. They had made it very clear.
Okay.
So then it was like, well, Massachusetts is not going to benefit from, a very large scale casino that's going to be placed somewhere in the state.
Right.
What are the alternatives? And the alternative was to legalize commercial casinos in Massachusetts. Now, it took quite a few years for that legislation to actually be passed.
Right.
There was a lot of negotiation and a lot of decision making. But the Expanded Gaming Act passed in 2011.
Okay.
And the it was a really from my perspective as a gambling researcher and someone who studies gambling, it was one of the best pieces of casino legalization legislation that I've ever seen.
In what way?
Well, just to start at the top, the Expanded Gaming Act in Massachusetts established an independent regulatory agency, Massachusetts Gaming Commission, with two equally important responsibilities. The first was to establish and regulate a viable new industry in the Commonwealth. The second, equally important responsibility was to minimize and mitigate gambling problems and gambling harm.
Okay.
And so, unlike most gambling regulators anywhere in the world, the regulator in Massachusetts is equally responsible for protecting as well as, ensuring a legitimate.
So
industry.
historically, where we would think of Las Vegas or Atlantic City as the gaming capitals, they didn't have those regulations to protect people from harmful gaming.
Correct.
Whereas Massachusetts was on the leading edge of this.
Yeah, and Massachusetts, it was on the leading edge because New Zealand was ahead of the curve and had similar legislation. And having done quite a bit of work in New Zealand, I handed over their casino legalization language and said, you might want.
Interesting. Very good. We are up on our second commercial break. Still plenty more to talk about when it comes to gambling here in the state of Massachusetts. Stay with us. We're back in just a few minutes.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to today's In Focus. I'm across the desk today with Dr. Rachel Volberg. She is a research professor at UMass Amherst and the preeminent brain on gambling, not only here in the Bay State, but really across the country. So, Dr. Volberg, thank you so very much for joining me. I appreciate it. We've covered a lot of ground in our first two segments with the evolution of the Massachusetts State Lottery, evolution of casinos, and within the last couple of years, sports gambling has really come onto the forefront. Is that a good thing or a bad thing to have sports betting available in general? You know, you talked about the Massachusetts Lottery being a good thing for Massachusetts because it's money that goes back to the cities and towns. Casinos have brought in revenue to the states. Is sports betting the same thing?
Well, I'm not sure that sports betting is quite the phenomenal good deal for the state as casinos or the lottery. The tax rate on sports betting in Massachusetts is about the same as it is in most other states in the U.S., which is about, I think it's 15% for the brick and mortar sports books and 20% for the online operators. But that means that 80% to 85% of the money that's being generated by sports betting in Massachusetts is actually leaving the state.
And so when it comes to sports betting here in the state, you said brick and mortar versus online. So brick and mortar, can we go to Encore or MGM and do sports betting in those brick and mortar locations?
Oh, yes, you can.
Okay. And
yes.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was all online in Massachusetts.
No.
Okay.
It's not.
Because I know I have a number of friends who spend their weekends on their phones, trying to become a millionaire. And never works, by the way. So there's our casinos here in the state, and there's one.
Yeah, there's actually three classes of of sports betting license in Massachusetts. Category 1 is the brick and mortar. Category 2 is the racetracks that are supposed to be allowed to have sports books.
Do we still have racetracks in Mass?
Yes, we do, but they don't have. Well, only Plainridge Park Casino. Plainridge Park has live racing. It's harness track. But the other two racetracks that are still operating do not have live racing. They have simulcast and advanced deposit. So that's category 2. There are no category 2 licenses that have been issued yet in Massachusetts. And the category 3 are the online operators. Each of the category 1 operators, so the 3 brick and mortars, is allowed to have a number of online brands. So, you can bet on sports at MGM at their sports bar, or you can bet on sports at BetMGM, which is one of their brands.
Gotcha.
Then there's a couple of others.
When was sports betting legalized here in Massachusetts, or when did it come to the state?
Well, so it's important to look back. In 2018, the Supreme Court overturned a federal law that made it illegal for sports betting to be operated by the states. And so that was 2018 in October or late in the year, it was overturned. 2019, 10 states legalized sports betting. 2020, only a few, I think 3 states legalized, and then been, off to the races, as they
Right.
say. We now have 39 states that have operational sports betting.
Wow.
Massachusetts came a little bit late to the game, as it often does. But sports betting, the law passed in August 2022 and became operational in January and March of 2020.
Okay. So now I can drive down the street to downtown Springfield, go to MGM and bet, or there's apps on my phone. Exactly. What's next for gambling in Massachusetts? We've gone from scratch tickets, walking to your convenience store, to okay, now there's a casino nearby. Now I can do it on my phone. What's the evolution next? Are you looking at down the road to what the residents will have available next?
I'm a longtime gambling researcher, so I'm always trying to look over the horizon. In this case, I don't have to look over the horizon. There are actually bills under consideration in the legislature as we speak to legalize what's called iGaming or
Okay.
online gambling. And that is essentially casino gaming or casino games that are available on your device, on your
Okay.
smartphone. So that's slot machine games and table games.
So you'll be able to play poker, blackjack, or slot machines right on your phone.
Baccarat, craps, whatever.
Wow.
Roulette.
Interesting.
But the big money is in the slot machines.
Right. Because the chance of winning is lower, right?
Well, and it's a speedier game.
Oh, that's true.
So there's more churn. So,
Right.
The house takes a percentage of the churn, and that's where they make their.
We've only got a couple of minutes left, but I do want to ask the question: with the proliferation of sports betting, should it be a shock to anyone that we see professional athletes getting caught up in this, being suspended for gambling? I mean, you look back to the Black Sox scandal with Shoeless Joe Jackson, Pete Rose, and then we've got current modern day basketball players, baseball players being suspended for betting. And should that be a shock to anyone?
Can I just say that I am not shocked at all?
I'm not, quite frankly, because it's
I mean,
it's easy
lots and lots of people have said to me, "Oh, I bet, but I know the fix is in, so like I know I'm going to lose because the fix is in." Like, and
Right.
I watched that play, and that was such a fixed play.
Right.
People are not necessarily gambling on sports because because of love of the game. Increasingly, it becomes about wanting to win money.
Right.
And, people have lots of reasons that they want to win money. Or, maybe they have other reasons for gambling, which we know people do, but money is a lot of
Of
what
course.
it's about.
Of course.
But really that nexus of sports and money really comes with
Influences a lot of people.
and it comes with some very perverse incentives for the athletes and for the people who know the athletes and for all of the people around the sports who may have insider information or may know something and like carefully drop it into a conversation.
Yeah. Wow. Dr. Rachel Volberg, our time is up, but I cannot thank you enough for joining me today to give us sort of an overview of the state of gambling here in Massachusetts and across our country. Wonderful meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.